You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 31st, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission special meeting. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would our secretary read the roll?
Yeah. Joyce Dalton,
Present.
Dan Cranquist,
Here.
Dwayne Hurt,
Present.
Lawrence Zimmer,
Here.
Amy Bowman,
Here.
Gigi, Jonas, Greg Coulter is here, Deb Parcell,
Here.
Kyle.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I would like a motion to approve our agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve our agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same. Thank you. And then everyone had a chance to read their minutes from our last meeting. May I have a motion to accept those?
I think you might be an autopilot.
No, I'm not.
Okay, because we don't have any minutes from. Are we doing the minutes from September 25th today?
That's what it says.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 25th.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you.
And I abstained because I wasn't here at the meeting.
I want to apologize to everybody. We're not used to being up in front like this, up higher. We really aren't those kind of people. But we thank you for coming. We know it's very cold out and it's trick or treat, so we're going to try to move through as quick as we can. So we will start. Any correspondence come in, Kyle?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll start with our C of A.
Okay, the first one is COA 2023-093 for 920 Franklin Street for deck and siding. This is the Valentine Diner, built around 1955. It's a contributing rated property. The proposed project is restore the building using new custom fabricated metal and glass, mounted to new wood sheathing, replacing structural members as required. Add a wood deck as shown on the application, upgrade and replace the parking lot and a new roof. And just a note, the paving and restriping of the parking lot have already been approved by staff. So, and I apologize as well. This was really short notice, so I did not have time to call any of the applicants like I usually do. We usually have at least a week, if not two, and I had a few hours today is all I had. So I'm very sorry about that. If I messed something up, we did what we could. So I don't always know all the exact materials and things. So on this one, staff recommends the following actions. The finding of fact, the replacement glass should match the existing size of glass is exactly. The metal panels should be retained if possible. Replacement should match existing. The proposed deck is at the side of the building. I think you've got a diagram with the COA application showing the location. And the proposed roofing material is unknown. I did not have time to ask. I don't know, Kyle, do we know what the roofing material is?
It's just a flat roof, so it's just going to be black.
Black, okay. And should not be visible from the street, which it shouldn't be because it's flat. So motion is for the glass is approval to replace, matching the existing size of the glass. For the exterior metal panels, the recommended motion is either to deny it or to grant an extension of time for submission of proposed panels, because we'd like to see what those are before we pass judgment on that. For the deck, approval with final approval by staff upon submission of material and style. I believe it's wood, is that correct? But we don't know the exact style of the railing or anything. And then finally on the roof, approval with final approval by staff on submission of material, but I guess that
It was
doesn't actually
already-
matter.
The roof was already staff approved.
Okay, roof is staff approved.
Do we have any questions? Any comments from the applicant?
Question.
Okay, we have one question.
Do they still make the panels for those kit buildings?
Hi, my name is Mike Tracy. I'm with Rose Construction. Thanks for having us. The metal panels will all be replaced. They can't be salvaged. They do not make the same type because they are no longer energy efficient or up to code. We propose to replace them with a called a panel 19. I do have cut sheets. I have a sample, but not here. Time we
Yeah.
had very short notice. I can provide all that stuff, but suffice it to say, it's replacing exactly what's there with upgraded material only in behind what the facade shows. So you don't know what the difference is between the two metal panels. They look exactly the same. They're just better. That's it. We're using the same seaming with the exact same stainless steel trim. How we're fixing that is a little newer system, but again, can't be seen. The effect, and then the welded stainless steel window frames will be exact to match. The glass, again, the only difference is the upgrade for energy efficiency. It'll be a low E glass insulated unit in each space. I've been doing that. I started sweeping the floors of Trainer Glass when I was like 16 years old. And I've done the Empire State Building facade on 33rd Street and 34th Street. I plan on making it exactly right and the way it looks now. And I can submit all the cut sheets, where we're getting everything, no problem, in a proper professionally submitted submittal package with the contents and each material called out and drawn. Need more than a day, but other than that,
I agree.
Right,
I plan to present a full package, and again, we are putting back what was there. There is no discernible difference to the eye.
okay, thank you.
Great.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So could you talk about the deck? What is the purpose of the deck and how does the look of the deck impact the building?
So right now, that area used to be a drive-through once upon a time. It's too small for that, doesn't work for the traffic flow, and there's a tree there now. So for all those reasons, it just turns out to be dead space. The thought was to have some seating, some outdoor seating for the coffee shop patrons. And it will be a place so there's a big blank wall there. That neighbor has had some talks about putting a mural for Michigan City. It looks right at the trade station. And the deck itself, the design of it, we've done before. It's kind of common on busier streets in urban areas, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's basically, it's a place where the patron can sit at the street level, see the street scene, have a place to rest their drink in their arm, but the fence comes up a little higher so that it's uncomfortable and they're not hanging over it. It's a design that I'll submit. That's a done thing that I've done before, and we're just we haven't really even gotten through the materials. I can make it out of cedar or Trex, and that was kind of the only question we had, whether or not it would be real wood or a composite product for longevity and no maintenance. So I was thinking like 2x2 vertical with I think 2x6 kick at the bottom and the 2x4 across, little shelf inside. I mean, it's very simple, very basic. That was the idea.
So it's going to be a coffee shop?
Yes.
So would you say that the railing though, I'm just concerned about that, the design of that railing be compatible with and sensitive to the kind of 60s diner look of the building and not just look like something that's tacked on?
Okay. Point taken. We could probably do that with a composite product, and then if we went with the same color, it's white. The building and the panels are white, and she's got her logo color. I think was the other question. Is there? She was hoping she could add that a turquoise instead of right now. There's a blue stripe at the crown and a red stripe at the bottom. Those we like to do according to her design, which is the turquoise that goes with her logo, and a composite product that had those color elements would probably make it aesthetically not looking like something stuck onto that. Is that?
Well, I don't know. I guess what my point is there going to be somebody who's going to design something and submit a drawing to us to take a look at?
Yes, sir.
Before you actually build it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I had planned on submitting, everything and to be commented on and discussed. So,
Okay. Thank you.
we thought we had till the 13th, and then Kyle said, yeah, come today. All right.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have some questions on the procedure. You indicated, I guess you had a day to prepare. Was that just so you could get here for the special meeting instead of coming later in the month?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Is that your request or
No, it's ours.
our request? So if we, for the staff, or Kyle and Deb, if we make some approvals, is the material for the panels and the deck and all that acceptable for staff to approve, or is that something that he should come back with
We
for
haven't
detail?
reviewed, we haven't reviewed the panels or, anything, kind of mine, and I think Deb's recommendation is to allow us a little bit more time in terms of reviewing some of these materials that maybe either leaving it up to staff approval or having them kind of almost having it tabled to the meeting to give both us as well as the petitioner a little bit more time to have some conversations, so then we can both have more information for you guys for the November meeting.
So our next scheduled meeting is the 27th, which is the Monday right after Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir.
Would that be an appropriate time?
Oh, 100%. I had planned on that submission date of November 13th to have my submittal package ready for comment and then arrive at that scheduled meeting with an okay was the hope. But
Okay.
this came up and I was asked to be here. So I said, sure, be
Thank you.
happy to tell the plan of attack at least.
So I don't think we want to deny it, but we can't just table it because we got the time frame
You
here.
can give them a 30-day extension,
30-day
which would
extension,
allow
so you
it
can
to
come
come
back.
back to the next meeting right after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Great.
The Monday after Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and then staff and applicant would have time to work through everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'd be my motion to table this application for certificate until the next scheduled meeting.
Do I have a second?
Are we using the word tabled or give them 30 days?
30
I'm
days.
confused.
30-day
30
extension, I think
day,
it's
30 day extension.
is in the ordinance. Yeah.
I'll second that 30-day extension.
Is that good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay if you want, or if you want to leave, you can leave, whatever you want to do.
Nice meeting all of you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
I think we're working on that later too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, really excited about it.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Yeah. Yeah, 10,000 of us that are excited. Yes.
It's all very well thought out plan, especially the products are findable. I can send you links to the stuff right now. It's not anything weird.
But you understand our concerns for the historic nature.
100%. I've done it before. All eyes got to be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. All right, the next one is COA 2023-094 for the Barker Foundation. It's the property at 231 West 7th Street in the Wabash Local and Haskell and Barker National Historic Districts. It's rated contributing. It is gable front architectural style built in 1885. So the proposed project is demolition of the existing structure with removal of all debris from site. And then the second portion of that, obviously contingent on approval of the first part, is constructing a new structure to resemble original Barker factory building. So I think you've got a lot of drawings there that show the idea, and not saying I'm opposed to the idea, but we first have to talk about the demolition before we can talk about the construction. So the demolition, we've got things that we look at for a demolition, and the finding of fact on that is that this building is rated contributing in both the National Register nomination and the local historic district register. The Historic District guidelines for demolition state that demolition of a contributing building within the Historic District is a last resort and approved only in rare circumstances, such as when the building has become a hazard to the safety and welfare of the building, or the public, and repairs are not possible. Historic District guidelines for new construction state that demolishing contributing structures in a historic district, to make way for new or large-scale construction is not recommended and generally not approved by the commission. For their evidence of factors making the building unsafe, unrepairable, a public safety hazard, or unable to sell or renovate, those are all things in the guidelines that say we should look at those. Those have not been submitted. So for the demolition portion, comparing it to the guidelines, the recommended motion is demolition or denial of demolition because it doesn't meet anything for the guidelines. And the new construction obviously is contingent on having a place to build it. So the Historic District guidelines, again, say you shouldn't demolish a contributing structure to build a new one. But if it is built on a vacant lot, then we would also need, beyond the drawings, we need like a site plan, dimension drawings to see how it fits in scale to the adjacent buildings, how it fits upon the lot, setbacks and things like that. And then we need to know proposed materials. So we're just seeing SketchUp pictures now, which is a good visual overall, but before we could really make a decision on a new building, we'd need more defined information. So on the construction end of it, the recommended motion is to deny it for lack of information. It's really incomplete at this point. And then also recommending a time when the HPC could have kind of a workshop setting where you could come in and you could present the project with more detail, and then the commission could give some input, much like we did for the depot parking garage thing like that, so that the design that you finally submit should be able to be approved easily.
Good evening. So my name's Andy Skia. Happy Halloween, everybody. I understand this isn't your regular scheduled meeting, so I appreciate everyone's time to come in this evening. So I'm sorry for the short notice. So a little bit of history of what's going on is I'm here to represent the Barker Welfare Foundation. I hope that everyone here is familiar with the foundation. They're a non-for-profit. They've been a great partner for the city of Michigan City and other non-for-profits for many years. In the last 3 years, they spent over $8 million in historical renovations at the Barker Mansion, which is located at 631 Washington Street. And recently, they've invested over $2 million, which does not include the purchase price, just in historical restoration of 227 West 7th Street. So they, as well as I, as the one managing partner for the on-site work for them, fully know what's involved from a financial aspect to bring a historical site back within guidelines for the historical, committee's approval. So we've recently done that at 227 West 7th Street. So what brings me here tonight is the board is located in Florida. They have their biannual meeting this coming week. Unfortunately, they only meet twice a year. They have entered into a tentative purchase agreement for 231 West 7th Street. This is Larry Lewandowski and Scott Cooley. They're with me. They have walked the site, to represent the Barker Foundation to survey it, to give them an opinion on purchase. It's our opinion that the site is in the same or worse condition as 227 West 7th Street. So if you were going to look at doing a full renovation as we did at 227, we expect that cost to exceed $2 million. And then what would you be left to do with the property? So the reason I asked to be present this evening is the board is proposing to take the site. They would spend the money to purchase it, but since they've already restored 227 West 7th and 631 Washington, their ask would be to demolish it, but not to demolish it to bring something modern. And they are a non-for-profit, so it wouldn't even be a profitable endeavor. They would want to spend another couple million, and they would want to keep history on the site, but they would purchase, again, more financial outlay, a fully restored 1902 Haskell and Barker train car, full size, and they would bring that in there for venue and public display at that site. The reason I'm here is we know we have to do a full architectural drawing. We know we have to go through a full design phase. Obviously, that takes time. Obviously, that would be presented to the board. But at this point in time, with only a biannual meeting, the board is not interested in purchasing the property if they cannot get the blessing of the board to do the demo to move forward with the reconstruction, because we know the cost of the adjoining property to reconstruct that within guidelines, and due to that hefty expense, that would serve no purpose for them to do that with the same property next door. But if they could bring factory history and family history back to Michigan City, they would be willing to invest another couple million to bring some history to the neighborhood. But that they would need the decision of the board, whether they were for or against the demo, to know how to vote at their meeting this week to purchase or not purchase.
Andy, do you have the video?
I do. Yeah.
If you want to see Drew, if he can,
I don't.
can you show
Say
that?
no.
Did you have it on your? Maybe put it here next to Kyle or.
Andy, is this, the property is where? To the west of the house you just
It would be
renovated?
to the west, so it's the previous Polish peasant on the corner.
That's what it's gonna, can you see everyone?
We can
Right.
pass that around. Can you take that on, Scott, and play that thing? So at this time, we're not seeking permission to build this
I saw.
specific building. We're looking to show you what we would do. Obviously, we need state plans, we need a state stamp, we need full release. But before they execute the purchase agreement, spend more funds to purchase the property, they would want approval to proceed in this direction.
So if we decided to set a workshop, is that enough? When would that be? That wouldn't at all be the meeting.
What they would need tonight would be approval to demolish the house on the corner.
Correct.
Actually, if
Is
you,
this
Yeah.
essentially a historic building from back then?
Yes. So it's gonna be new construction. New construction.
New construction with the original 1902 train car that was built in Michigan City, purchased full size, brought back to site and put on display in the new building, a 1902 fully restored train car.
The car is what's on the inside of it.
The car will sit on
But
the
the
inside.
building on the outside, the building itself, the facade, is that a historic building like it was back then?
Oh, obviously it would be modern materials, but we would construct it within historic guidelines. And we walked the structure that's there. It's multiple additions. It's the framing it's the same condition as 227 West 7th.
I was wondering about the new structure. I mean, I love the train car. There's no question. I'm totally in favor of the train car, and I'm not opposed to the building. I'm just opposed to demolition. So that's my sticking point. But wondering about that building to house a train car in that lot, is that actually going to fit? It seems like that house is kind of small.
Yes, it is. The train car is 40 foot long by 9 foot wide.
40.
So
Okay.
it would fit fine. The plan would be just like the old works building that was demolished at Lighthouse. We'd put rails in the floor. It'd be full historical, full
Okay.
display for public venue. And obviously we could work through that design and the construction of that design with the board. But
Right.
before they purchase and approve the money to proceed at the meeting, there's no sense in that if they couldn't get approval to demo.
Makes sense.
And I'm
Thank you.
sorry for the timing, but they didn't know that the building was for sale. They didn't know they could get a purchase agreement. So it all just happened and their board meeting happened to start tomorrow. So here I am.
Wow. Okay.
It's called life.
Yeah, and it's only biannual, so.
Yeah.
Makes
Is
sense.
that building on the property of the building that you're asking for demolition?
Yes, it would be. Correct.
And what is I noticed that it connects to the house that you just renovated, and what is the purpose of that?
So they could have one site there. So if they had venues or public events or whatever they decide to do there, entertain or host, that people could mingle. Because they're gonna have like, restrooms and everything, and then they could just mingle through and look at the train car and have seating areas or have venues with TVs playing, telling about the factory and showing videos and pictures similar to the exhibit they put in the basement of the.
I see.
Right.
And there's not the possibility of building this in that empty lot across the street?
The empty lot across the street, I do not believe so. No, I think that I can't speak to that, but they had brief discussions with the current owner and it didn't sound like that was,
And that would be adjacent to the 227,
it would be directly west, that's correct.
but the other,
Is south.
the empty lot.
Oh, no, the empty lot is on the same side of the street. That's east of 227 West 7.
Oh.
So that is the lot that Larry, at your last board meeting, got approval. They're gonna put the parking lot on.
No, I was referring to the empty lot across the
Yeah,
street.
to the south. Yeah, no, that they talked to the current owner. It didn't sound like that could be amicable for purchase.
Any possibility of moving the house across the street?
We looked at it, we counted the utility lines, the light poles that have to be moved. I mean, anything's possible in life, but at what expense? You know what I mean? You're talking about a non-for-profit board that's already spent 8 million in historic renovations in the last couple of years. Now they're willing to invest another couple million. So without purchase price, so we're gonna be over 10 million plus the purchase price of the two buildings. That's a significant input into the community for a non-for-profit.
When you did the McGinnis Pub, when you tore off the facade and there was nothing left, is that what the deal is with that place too? Or is there some facade left, or is there nothing left? Is it just because I know that.
So what's happened with the, I'll call it the Polish, but it's same, it's the balloon framing. It's structurally on a balloon frame. Once you start removing that stuff, the whole building just starts racking back and forth. Okay, so it's built in the same manufactured way with the old foundation. It's not a solid foundation. The foundation just sits on stone at the bottom. So it is built in the same manufactured way as what the McGinnis Pub is right now. So you'd have to take it all the way down to that.
And I can say from eating at the Polish Pheasant years ago, there's nothing that's original or salvageable on the inside of the house.
It's the former McGinnis Pub, which now is the Barker Cottage, 227. The only thing historical we found in there literally was 2 sets of pocket doors, which we have fully restored and are putting back in. So that is it. And I mean, we literally had to take that almost down to the foundation, one stud at a time. When we took off the drywall and plaster inside, it was rotted. There was bug damage. I mean, just not the purchase price, just in reconstruction, they spent over 2 million on that property. It's a lot.
Am I correct in believing that you said you would build it to our likings for historic, right?
Yes, sir. So
and I know we're not accustomed to tearing down, but if you, it's kind of like last week when we said that we will rebuild something to the same specs as something that was there previously. I'm thinking it's kind of the same concept here. Might be a different look, but it's still to our liking. So
it would be the same if we could get approval for demolition. They would move to purchase the property, and then we would enter the design phase where we would obviously work with the foundation first. Because we'd have to get a full set of plans. Once that plan process started, we could attend your monthly meeting. We could show you the progress. We could work through that together. Obviously, I would just be the go-between between the Barker board and yourselves, and we could come to a design that everyone was happy with, and then we would make sure that all the materials used, no different as 227 West 7th or 631 Washington, were within compliance to your guidelines.
Well, I think we have design and demolition and new construction standards to maintain the historicity of these districts here. But I think, I'm just thinking with all of the work that you've done and bringing back the history of the Barker Haskell history there, the mansion and so forth, it wouldn't be demolition just to put some new house up there or something. It seems that it would fit with the whole area there and be supportive of the history of the district, even if it does maybe technically violate a demolition standard, yet with all the challenge of restoring that kind of a building, it might be even better for the community and the historic district there to have something like this and bring that with all the benefit that the foundation has been doing for our city. So I'm open to an exception from the demolition requirements there.
Would you like to make that motion?
One moment.
Let's have some discussion.
Wait.
So when we're talking about exceptions to the rules, I mean, over the last few months, we've made quite a few exceptions, and
Yes.
these exceptions open us up to litigation when we're not careful. So we need to be very careful about when we make exceptions, because every single exception we make has and continues to bite us in the butt, because for the most part, when it comes to windows or whatever it has been, people have been able to say, up until this point, well, look what has been approved in previous months. And so we need to be very careful about these exceptions to the rules, because we have guidelines that we're supposed to be following and making sure that when these exceptions are made, that we are ready to deal with the consequences that may result. That's all.
But I think if we make an exception for a nonprofit organization that wants to enhance the history of our community and spend upwards of X number of millions of dollars to enhance our community for the benefit of the community, and not just to tear down an old building and put up a little house, that's a pretty high standard for an exception, and there will be very few people or nonprofit organizations that would rise to that level. So I would propose an exception to the guidelines, because this applicant is a nonprofit organization that has a long-standing history in our community, has invested multi-millions of dollars in our community, and this would enhance the project that they're currently working on that we have previously approved. And for those standards of exception to the guidelines based on the quality of the applicant, the nonprofit organization, and the expenditure there, I would make a motion to provide an exception to the guidelines and permit the demolition of that building with the anticipation of the project that you're doing.
I could second that.
Yeah, can I say something really quick too? Because not just that it's going to a nonprofit and that the nonprofit's been good for the city, but they're reconstructing a building that represents one that had been on the other side of the street. And that really is why I am some support of this, is that they're not just putting in a diner from the 60s or something, just to use the last building as an example. They're reconstructing a part of the town's history. Mm-hmm. Not just demolishing a building, but adding something back in.
Yes.
It's going to be a substantial community enhancement and benefit.
For the future.
For the future. Exactly.
History for the future.
Yeah.
I second Dan's motion.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor of the demolishing of the building, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, it's passed.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We thank the foundation for all the work that they're doing in our community and bringing all this history and life to our community. So thank them very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you a lot, Andy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And same goes for you guys. If you don't want to stay, you don't have to. I understand.
Okay, our final COA for review is COA 2023-095. This is for 444 Wabash Street, rated contributing, was built in 1992. It's an infill commercial building. The proposed project is hanging new signs on the building, which actually has already occurred. So this is retroactive approval that they're seeking. The finding of fact, the signs are in proportion to the building. The material, colors, and details are appropriate for the building, and the signs do not cover any character-defining features, which are all things the guidelines specify. So the recommended action is motion to approve as submitted.
I have one thing. We get this so much that people have already done what they need to do. It's approved, well, we don't have any choice really but approve. But I think we need to start finding them. We talk about not having money to do what we need to do for this board. That's a very good way to accumulate some funds for us so that we can expand and do some things that we're not capable of doing because we don't have funding.
There are towns that do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and really, it's that most of them that do it, they already know.
Right.
But they understand that we can't do anything to them, so why worry about it? And that one that's trying to be honest most of the time, they don't do it, so they have to come to board and risk not being or not getting their project taken care of. So we need to really think hard about whether we want to continue this practice.
I would agree with that. Does the city have any?
We need some influence on the city council to pass an ordinance to give us authority to
And give us some cash.
assess penalties.
Good luck with that.
I know.
Well, but you know that
We're counting on you, buddy.
what Kyle was just saying though is that also sets a precedent that somebody does something, they get away with it without any penalty, and then suddenly the next guy is going to do it, and the next guy is going to do it.
I call that Saturday, people coming in on Saturday when the inspection department's not open. That happens a lot.
Reason you all have to put up with Dwayne because he had to deal with that stuff, so he got on the board.
There you go.
But we like Dwayne.
But we only have jurisdiction for so much. I mean, there's no ordinance establishing any penalty or remedy, so we need the city council to engage and understand these issues as well.
I mean, most towns charge for a COA application, not a lot. But then for a retroactive application, way more for that.
Absolutely.
So I think it would be fair if they would charge all the way around. I mean, it doesn't have to be a large fee. A lot of them do like $20, $25. I think most people can handle that when they're doing a construction project. But then the ones that are retroactive should be significantly higher than that. I think that's a fair thing. I don't know how do we enact that? I don't know what the steps are.
I don't know what the steps are either, but it could be a discussion for in January.
Okay.
Is there somebody who could suggest the wording for the
I think somebody
proposed ordinance?
right here, maybe.
Mr. Lawyer.
We can work on some things there. And
I can look at some other cities too
Yeah.
and see how they've handled that. So
I think that's a good idea because it does happen. Oh, Kyle probably sees it all the time.
now, your findings of fact here that said that the signs are in proportion, material, colors, details are appropriate, and they don't cover any defining features. Is that happenstance, or did they know, or it just worked out that way?
it just worked out that way.
Well, but what would happen if they were not doing what.
We
want.
can always ask things to be removed.
Okay.
I mean, even if something's built, we can ask to have it tore down,
We-
you know,
we can
so
deny
you have
it.
that ability.
So that's in an ordinance?
Yes,
Okay.
you can do that. It's just like if you don't get a building permit and you build something out of order, you can be asked to take it down.
Okay.
So,
And if you had a chance to look at the C of A that they submitted, they already said on there, we painted the building and rebranded the shop. So they already took down Lakeshore Coffee and put up theirs. And pretty much in the same place, so I'm thinking that's probably why they did it, but still didn't make it right. Any other questions?
Yeah, so let's, if it's possible to get us some wording for an ordinance then before the next meeting, just so that we can review it and then be able to discuss it.
Can you do that? You can work with,
yeah.
okay.
Mhm. I'll see what I can find and send
Okay.
it out. Mhm.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the COA that was submitted.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, maintenance review.
I think I might. Which one's the first? What's the first maintenance review?
Oh, then
COA 2023-091, and that's for 729 East Michigan Boulevard,
Okay.
porch repair.
So for this one, it was a partial roof replacement. So what they were trying to do was the portion of the roof closest to the house had rotted. So they were just replacing what was closest to the house. So it was it's a like for like replacement, trying to remedy previous kind of construction mistakes. So that was, in a way, we saw it as a like for like with matching materials, as well as the porch is not historic. So that was approved. And then the
Okay.
next one was
It's the parking lot.
the parking lot. So COA 2023-092 from 920 Franklin Street, and this was a paving and restriping of the parking lot. So this was approved because it's an in-kind replacement. I'm currently still just waiting for a parking plan just to figure out how many parking spots they'll end up with, but that's more planning related than preservation.
Any questions?
Yes, Kyle, is there any landscape requirements that go along with that? Like trees, bushes, any kind of greenery to soften the edges of it?
You could never do that there. There never was anything except a parking lot, ever. It was the M&M drive-in, so they had the one on the boulevard, and then they built this one because they figured downtown traffic, but it was just a parking lot, never anything in it. Except a few cars driving through onto Franklin off of the one side, which was scary, but.
So I guess to answer your question, we could require a landscape plan. But because it's not like they're tearing up the parking lot, it's kind of a repaving. It's
Okay. It might just overall enhance the whole appearance of the property if they could just introduce some greenery, some.
How about if we just maybe suggest it? Just talk to them
Encourage.
as opposed to saying we're gonna force it upon.
I mean, it's, if they really want to improve the overall appearance of that corner, I think a couple of trees and some greenery would go a long way.
I would agree.
And probably something they never even thought about, but if they're here, they'll probably.
And that's staff, Deb, are there any other committees that have historic landscape issues? Is that part of, or Kyle, is there historic landscaping? Is it a historic kind of plants from back then?
Talked about that when we started our guideline, when we redid the guidelines a couple years ago, and we never really came out with any specific species. Nobody has any that I'm aware of in their guidelines. They just say things that are appropriate for the situation, but no species, I don't think.
No, I mean, I think usually the only recommendation against plantings is boxwoods near the foundations due to, as well as willows and other water plants that seem to attract moisture.
Any other questions? I'm going to ask, but any committee reports?
No.
Old table business? Any new business? The first one, as you can see here, is for our plan that we talked about. Deb's been gone and we've all been busy, but we really need to start doing that. And I think, Larry, you kind of evaded to it, where maybe if we all start jotting down some of these things that are going through our mind when we're not here, that we could use those when we get into a planning session to do that. Thank you guys. Because otherwise we're just going to keep talking about it. So can we all try to do that? I know with the holidays coming, it's going to be hard, but just one or two things so that we can get something started to work on it.
And then probably having a workshop after the new year. So
yes,
after 2 more meetings to think about what that would be.
Right. I think we'll maybe at our November meeting, we can set that workshop date.
Possibly, yeah.
For January or February. If we don't get snowed in. Of course, after today, it may be 80 in January.
And speaking of the November meeting, which is the 27th, the Monday after Thanksgiving, that's okay for everybody? Okay.
Maybe joining you by Zoom, but I'll be here one way or the other. I'll let you know ahead of time.
That's good.
On the preservation plan, I did get an email from Kurt Garner this afternoon while I was busily typing staff reports and getting ready to leave. So I haven't reviewed it. I did see that he said he broke it down into 3 portions. So we can review that at the November meeting, and I'll send a copy of that to everyone.
And that'll be good to have for that too, for our great. And then we're talking about updating on getting our word out. I know it's just hard right now because some boards aren't meeting on their regular dates because of holidays and so on. But I think if we can start going to some of these, and I will try my hardest to do that, I just think it will help us all.
I'm going to take it on my shoulders to be the liaison for any new businesses that come into the downtown district. It's on Franklin Street especially, because I'm one of those people, I had no clue that I had to come in front of a board and get a cling thing on my window. I had no idea that was, I thought maybe if I needed a blade sign or if I needed something big and structural, but something on my window, I never would have thought that I needed to come in front of the board. So, and we are, of course, encouraging new businesses to come downtown, and we want everybody to do the right thing. As I say that, and as facades are obviously important in our historic district, has it ever been an issue? I mean, I don't know the owners of the business, but like the Rainbow Trades building, like, has that ever been an issue with the rainbow on it? And has anybody ever said, why is it like this? Or, I mean, does everybody say that? Okay, just curious. I mean,
I don't
like,
think anybody, it's been
nobody's
that,
ever brought it
No.
to anyone's attention, but it's just kind of
it's been there that way for
for
years and
so
years.
long, right? Yeah.
And I know the original owner has passed away, but her daughter is in there. I see she had a big sign out on the street tonight for costumes.
Well, they're definitely open this time of year, but that's really it. And then there's really no other activity. So that's just curious, again, but I mean, I will take it on as, just so people do know. It's hard to get in front of the realtors. It's hard to get in front of, massive groups of people. But I know there is a new, I guess I'll just call it I don't know if it's an organization. It's a new Main Street organization that is trying to build a nonprofit presence in Michigan City, but not just in our arts district. I believe it's incorporating the Eastport neighborhood and the Midtown and, a good portion of Michigan City. And they're trying like heck to get all, any and all kinds of information out to businesses. So I would be willing to pass that information on to them. So when they talk to people that are, moving into our neighborhood or any historic neighborhood that we have, they are doing the right thing.
Where is that
But
at?
it's hard. I'm just hearing bits and pieces.
Oh, okay.
I know the fella named Jeffrey from the Art Space, Ortman. Yeah, he's a strong leader in that, and they're just trying to do whatever they can for the betterment of all of us, and But there's just so many people that just don't know, all these little groups know all that the little groups know, but they don't really broadcast it out to the masses because it's hard to do. So
I appreciate you offering to do that, but
the more,
but you are kind of like that anyway, because a couple people that I know, when they stop in your shop, you tell little things that are going on, and that's helpful. So
yeah.
thank you for that. So
Okay.
What's the status of that flyer card brochure that we were working on before? Was that you, Greg?
Yeah, that was ready to go, and then we just tabled it indefinitely at this point. We should bring that back up for the next meeting.
Because maybe we said, see what kind of money we're looking at to do. But
It should be, if it's going out through the water bill, I think that would be less than $50 just to print it.
Oh, okay.
Especially if it's office paper and not cardstock or something. But yeah.
okay, if you would bring that, and then we could,
For sure.
so that it could possibly go out the beginning of the year, that would be good.
Something that's,
Yeah.
And then I'll ask Kyle if we have the 3 historic districts, and when petitioners come to the plan commission, they have to give notice to all property owners, and there's a way to go on Beacon and get all the addresses and so forth. Can we get a list of the property owners, not the residents, like the water bill would just probably go to a resident, but
No, it usually goes to the owner unless it's in the contract.
not necessarily, but
I have that list.
You do?
I created
of
it.
property owners in the districts.
Yes, with Beacon, either you get the property address or you get the property owner. And I have a list of the property owners, but not attached with the addresses. So you know who to send it to, but you don't know what address it's attached to. I don't know why Beacon is like that, but that's how the list was created.
weird.
Is that something you could print or?
Yeah,
PDF or
it's
email?
49, it's 49 pages.
Oh, my gosh. Hmm.
Well, just a PDF, you don't have to print it on paper.
Yeah, I could do
Or
that.
bring one copy for the next meeting or something. We could talk about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, at least if we have one copy, we can.
Isn't that would list, I mean, if you, well, it's not attached to the businesses, we wouldn't know if they're on Franklin Street necessarily, but
Also on the eMichigan City website, I've communicated with Kyle and with Gabby from the Urban Enterprise Association. to update the links on both of them referring to the other. So then businesses that are in the urban enterprise zone are also in the historic district. They understand that each exists, so they can help each other. Because people in the historic district can apply for grants to do improvements. And then likewise, people in the urban enterprise zone need to know if they're in the historic district, and so it's just adding another link on both of them so that they are both aware. It's just another way of spreading the information about both.
Are you on that urban enterprise?
I am.
Okay, we were talking about that at the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was told today, though, that you don't have to be a property owner. You can be a business, just a business. And I asked you and you said you had to be an owner of the building. And they're saying that there's money out there right now for small businesses to get there's grant money out there.
I guess it depends on what the change is you want to make, because you wouldn't be able to make a change to a building that you didn't know.
Yeah, no, it wasn't regarding buildings. It was regarding business. So that's why I was like, I wasn't sure if those two were this, maybe it's a different, but he said it was the urban enterprise. Anyways, okay. I just heard that word again today.
All the requirements are in the links to those different organizations. So
interesting.
You can see what the requirements are, because you have to meet a financial level. Anyway, yeah. So thanks, Kyle, for working on that with Debbie.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess one more thing, Joyce, is was there, in my understanding, that there was some miscommunication about this, because you were sending out emails saying that as of this afternoon, you still hadn't heard from anybody.
I found out that I could send, but I was not receiving.
Okay.
And hopefully I did send a test to Amy right before I left and I got it back. So whatever AT&T needed to do, they evidently finally done it.
Right.
And I apologize to everybody for hounding you. But I was worried because I knew it was a special meeting and Kyle had prepared stuff, as had Deb, to be here. And then I didn't know who was coming. So,
okay. Great.
I think that's just a little bit more to speak to people that don't know as they buy into a historic district, something that LaPorte is doing right now, and they have way less local historic properties than you do, but still, they're watching what's coming up for sale very carefully. And we're sending letters directly to the listing agent, explaining that it's in a historic district, putting a copy of their brochure in with that, and then links to like the board chair, myself, the city planner, assistant planner, so they can get more information, and that we're willing to talk to anybody so that we kind of demystify that whole process. People aren't scared to death to buy into a historic district. So I don't know how difficult that is to keep an eye on.
I'm thinking you have to have a retired person driving around up and down every street, seeing what's for sale. And then
Use a cooperating broker that has access to the MLS, because you can search the MLS for all properties that go up, get listed there for sale. And if we could coordinate it somehow.
But again, that doesn't, people that are trying to start a small business that are renting, they don't care.
Right.
They don't care what has to happen, what the building owner has to go through. They just want to get in that space, and then you have to have a sign and you have to have and that's when you realize you need okay, what?
Yeah, the rental end of it's really hard. Yeah.
It's just not expected. That's all. And business owners that aren't property owners aren't thinking like that. That's all.
that's probably the last thing on your mind when you're trying to start something. Okay, we have no public except Drew, who's still awake. Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or statements?
We have a forum tonight for here.
the mayor's, there's a forum at 6 o'clock at the library.
Really?
Anyone that's interested, yes,
Instead of trick or treating?
instead of trick or treat.
Okay, thank you for that information. Kyle, I hope you go and trick or treat on the way.
Me too.
All right, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. I have a motion for that.
So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Greg. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.